The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this. The Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Now available to order at your local comic shop, it's Sal Abenanti's new graphic novel, The Hostage.
Hostage is set in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, based on the plight of the street children that live in the favelas. In the world of the graphic novel, being murdered daily, and the hostage is the evil spirit that is raised to avenge their death. Origins go all the way back to the indigenous tribes of the Amazon as the spirits that protect children, especially murdered children. The level of death that these kids have to endure every day. They have nowhere to sleep, they have no place to eat, they have to survive off of begging. There were nobody in capes that were coming to save these kids.
Pick up Sal Abenanti's latest graphic novel, The Hostage. Order now at your local comic shop through Diamond's Previews catalog. Code DEC221534. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Tim Seeley is back. He joined us last week to talk about a slew of books, but now he is with his co-collaborator, Tony Fleecs, longtime Word Balloon guest. Good to see you, Tone.
Hey, gang.
And, man, guys, I am so excited for Local Man. This is the Tony Fleecs style of art you could find in the book, and then you can also find the Tim Seeley style of the book in the variant cover and the backup feature as well. Well done, guys. I appreciate the preview. The book, what is Final Order? Did we miss Final Order, or was it last week?
We got a week or two yet, right, Tony? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be in January sometime. Book comes out February 22nd, so I would guess FOC is about 3 weeks, a month before that.
Okay, good. Because really, you guys were great. You gave me the advanced look. Man, it is fantastic, and I'm going to show examples of art of both of you and stuff. But give us here. You guys can probably pitch the story better than I can. Give us the 10-cent pitch on Local Man.
Tony, hit it.
All right, so it's a former, basically 90s Image Comics superhero who has been disgraced and kicked off his team, and he sort of has nothing now, and he has to move back home with his mom and dad in the Midwest, in the small town where he came from, where everybody used to love him. He was like hometown boy made good, and now everybody hates him because he became city folk, and he just sort of disgraced his hometown. And it's him trying to find his way back home when all of a sudden people start dying, and he gets suspected of killing them. So, yeah. Is that it, Tim? You're better than me.
Well, I sent in somebody but they were an editor for a major publisher, so they couldn't give us a full quote, but he said it's Eastbound and Down, but instead of Danny McBride, it's Shaft. Not John Shaft, bow and arrow Shaft from Youngblood. So that's basically the pitch. But it's like a crime noir story, but it really plays up our detective, our sort of main guy, our fallen hero, plays upon Tony and I's deep and fairly disturbing amount of knowledge about 90s superhero comics. And it allowed us to indulge those things, but also indulge some art stuff that we wanted to do. And Tony wanted to try drawing something a little bit more realistic, which allowed him to do this kind of crime noir story, neo-noir kind of style, much more realistic. And it allowed me to do, instead of going forward, go backwards and draw how I naturally draw, which is like a guy who grew up completely on Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, and Jim Valentino and Eric Larson. So that's what comes out of me naturally. I don't have to think at all when I draw this stuff. It just is that stuff.
Yeah, these are examples of Tim's art style that you can find. The backup feature is a flashback of the local heroes team in action. And Tony, I'm gonna show your style. Tone, this is really great. I mean, listen, I've seen, and I don't mean to dismiss Tim's style because I've seen it a lot. Well, no, but I have. I mean, and I've seen Tim sketch in that image style before. And but really, congratulations, Tone, because really it looks great. It fits. Yeah. So the local town scenes are in Tony style, and then when the hero Jack our character's name?
Yeah, Jack was his superhero name, and Jack Xaver is his real name.
Okay. Here's an example of Tony's art right here. Look at that.
Yeah, it was sort of it was a style that I'd done a lot for sort of like one-off illustrations and storyboards and stuff like that, but I'd never really had an opportunity to do it in comics, and I sort of hadn't, like, I'd only done it in short bursts, and I always thought, like, what if I did that for a whole comic? You know, like I feel like that would be successful. Years ago in like MySpace days, Jim Lee would give like critiques, like if you could post your pages, and he would give like little critiques. And I posted one page of when I was doing fire breather backups, this cute little cartoony fire breathers, and then one page that was sort of in that style, that photo refy, sort of like Michael Larkey style. And Jim Lee was like, well, that photo style will be way more profitable and make it much easier for you to find work. But the cartoony style, you know, like it looks like that's what your heart is. So he was like, but if I'm you, I would do that photo refy style. And I was like, what if I wait 12 years and then do it? Right. Just sort of.
What if I ignore Jim Lee, the most successful comic book artist of all time? What if I ignore that guy?
What does he know?
That's awesome. Well, it's great because it really does work for the two different lives that Crossjack led. And no, I think it's great. It also and it's funny because Eastbound and Down, I can certainly see that from the comedy standpoint, but it also reminds me right now of the current streaming show on Paramount Plus, Tulsa King, with Stallone. Because, you know, I mean, even though Stallone didn't come from the farm, he's the mob guy that has to go to Tulsa and kind of rebuild his life and everything. And Jack looks like, you know, certainly in his civvies, like he belongs back home and everything. But just the locales and everything remind me of Tulsa King and the bleakness of, you know, no offense to him. I'm sure the local town is probably not the kind of town you grew up in.
It is, but this one is not a real town because we kind of felt like, you know, with Revival, I'd used my hometown and it was very detailed and it was a very real place and very specific place. And we really felt like we wanted this to be a more, you know, a kind of a highly relatable, you know, sort of
pastiche. Yeah, it could be your town, could be someone else's. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's based on a lot of places, obviously, that I have been and Tony's experiences with some of these places. But we just kind of felt like, you know, and I personally haven't come from the Midwest. The Midwest felt like the farthest place from those superhero books and from that life. You know, like this idea of reading those books when I was a kid and, you know, all these things set in LA and New York and, you know, and all these fancy people and hanging out with celebrities and all that stuff is like, it was highly unrelatable and so distant, but I still loved it somehow. And it was kind of just such distilled sort of thing. So it kind of felt like, what if you took that guy and dragged him back to, you know, where everybody was reading these comics, which was, you know, Colorado and Wisconsin and Minnesota and all these places, and just really put those two different things, you know, you never saw those characters running across a cornfield, or you never saw them, you know, like you never saw them at a local bar, like they were always on rooftops or in alleys or, you know,
to the point where if you did see him there, it would be super memorable,
right?
Or, you know, like when Spawn ended up out in in that farm, and he's just like getting fucked with out on that farm, or like, you know, Daredevil and the pigs. You know, that wasn't even super rural, but it was just like he's around pigs. I got to see more about, you know, like I'll never forget.
Yeah, it was incongruent. No, I understand. And no, and also, God, this shows you how old we are now. The image style can supplant, like when Jerry Ordway does a flashback and makes it kind of look Silver Agey
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And now it's like, yeah, guess what? Image was 30 years ago, so stuff did look like this and everything. And it's perfect for these flashbacks. Definitely.
Well, one of the things Tony and I talked about was we both loved 1963, which was Alan Moore and the
Swamp Thing.
And
Yeah, Swamp
Rick
Thing.
Veitch, yeah.
Rick Veitch.
Yeah, all doing like this 1960s thing at Image in 1993. And there was 30 years between that and this, and we were kind of talking about like, well, what if someone did, that for an Image book? It was like, well, it's actually longer. It's been longer, pretty much since those books. I think it's probably 30 years on the head or so. What is that now? What is the thing that feels kind of retro and kind of tries to do the style? But we didn't want to do something that was like just a strict, copy or a pain or something. We want to do something that was, was about something and something we could add something new to it. So though we use that kind of retro stuff and a little bit of nostalgia, and we do a little bit of satire and we do a little bit of that stuff, it really is the backdrop for like a real crime story. But we just kind of felt like, well, what's the Columbo kind of character that we can build off of, someone who used to be in like a celebrity superhero team and all they did was fight cyborgs and, and world conquering mutants and stuff. Like what would be the story for that?
Here's the bad guy team from you'll see them in the backup, and the Hodag am I saying it right?
Hodag?
Yeah. Hodag shows up in the main story as well. We'll leave it at that. But no, it's really, I think it's a great story. I think it plays on a lot of levels. There's a former romance going on. There's a current romance, it seems, going on. It's there's a lot there. And also, way to go, guys, because truly I've been talking to a lot of people whose first book is oversized, and I forget how long the feature is. You got the backup feature as well, so you are getting a lot, and that is part of the story.
It's like at least 30 pages.
Yeah, it's 6 pages of backup, 24 pages of the main story. So yeah, on the head on this one.
Well, and again, I think you achieve what you want from a first issue of, I think you give us enough of the story in the first issue to say, okay, you know what's going on. Do you want to stay with us, or do you want to, or is that enough for you? And I am intrigued. I think it's a great story.
It's one of the, there's a million great things about doing your own books at Image, but sort of one of the best ones is that like there's no page limit. I guess there's probably a minimum somewhere, but I never get, I'm never sitting there with a script going like, how am I going to make this all fit? I'll just go like, I'll just add another page, or I guess I usually add 2 pages so that it ends on the right turn. But yeah, it's super nice to have that freedom to just be like, this should be longer. Like I think the script for this was shorter, and I just kept adding pages to it because it's like, this would play better if we stretched it out a little bit, and
Well, you give it nice emotional beats. Right there, that kind of move, I think, shows what's you can appreciate the bleakness of the moment and what Jack is going through coming home again. So no, I think it fits. I'm so glad you guys are both drawing again as well, honestly, because you guys are good writers. That goes without saying, but it is nice to see you guys drawing again.
Well, this is one of the things that you never see is 2 artist-writers working together. And maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
But when we crash and burn right around issue 3,
But one of the things, it is really nice. I don't have to, I've been doing this for a long time. And a hard part about this sometimes is just communicating what you want in a script when you're just like, I could just fucking draw this. And I don't have to do that with Tony. If I just have to just draw it, I just do. But it's a lot easier to communicate stuff, I think, this way. It's looser. It's just so much nicer to, like Tony's the only person I know who's like, the script is not long enough. I need more shit to draw. But if you want to do it, I was like, go ahead, man, have at it. And, it did help the story. So it's such a nice way to do something and not feel so constrained and just kind of be able to get weird with it also, I think. Like, there's I don't know, there's probably not like a ton of existing sort of versions of what we're doing. So good. That's great. We'll stand out in a crowd, I hope.
And sort of we've both been, Tim doing DC stuff so much, and like, I did, Ponies and licensed comics, Rick and Morty
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff for years, and we sort of both worked within the constraints of stuff. And so, like, I feel like if you're doing your own thing, you might as well just make it feel exactly right, And so having that freedom is really nice, and sort of like the opposite side of the coin from what the day job can usually be, which is just like, let's make this fit in 20 or 22 or
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think the pacing is really good. Is it? I mean, again, you're both artists as well. Is it easy script wise for you guys to bounce back and forth too?
Yeah, pretty easy. Yeah, I have a ongoing issue where I just wish Tim would use Google Docs. But aside from that, it's good. It's pretty smooth. Tim's like my grandfather. I send him Google Docs, and then he'll like download it and put it into Word, and then save a Word file and upload it to Dropbox. It's just like, what's going on?
I just don't trust. I can't. I've been doing this. I can't trust things to be like, I don't know, in a cloud somewhere. I don't know why. I know it's stupid, but I'm so nervous because I'm gonna download a copy to save just for backup anyway, and
Sure.
I'm gonna put it out. So one time I had my hard drive crash and I lost a bunch of stuff, and it kind of ruined me for life. So I'm sorry, Tony. I will make copies and put them around. Yes, in the end, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
if you had your shit on Google Docs, it just would still be there.
yeah, it
I
doesn't
guess
matter.
this isn't really the venue for this.
This is the big fight, but I think it also we come from. Well, I've known Tony for a long time, but one of the things we always kind of came back to is like we always like these '90s superhero stuff, but we keep doing horror or crime stuff, and so I feel like we were pretty well trained in doing I spent 4 years on doing a crime story, and I spent 15 on doing a horror story, so like I have a good sense of how to do that, and I know Tony does too. So that's kind of we can communicate easily about those things. We have the influences, but we can also just point to our own books. Like, hey, remember that thing you did in Stray Dogs? Do something like that.
Tim, what was that double shot hero that you created?
Jack Kraken. Yeah.
What was his name?
Jack Kraken.
Jack Kraken, absolutely. Yeah, I see a little bit of him and Jack as well. I mean,
We're almost all the characters that are in the book are ones that I made up as a kid. Cross Jack, for instance, I made up when I was a teenager. Neon, I made up when I was 11, and that costume is pretty much the one she had when I was a kid. Superio, I made up as a kid. Painkiller, Fright Side, all those characters pretty much. The Camel Crusader, I used to draw him when I was like 5 or 6. That was his actual name, was Camel Crusader.
Was he a religious hero?
No, he was just a G.I. Joe guy. But with the Crusader in there, it's like he's got to be an evangelical.
Oh, that's good.
NRA guy. So
that's good.
That got added later, but yeah, all those characters almost all are ones were kids, and then we add some Matotis in also later.
Good.
For one of the stories, Tony had sent me a bunch of his comics from when he was like 13, 14, 15, and I picked and cobbled together some designs for the stuff out of Tony's stuff, so which is pretty cool. But yeah, got to reuse that stuff. They feel right, like Crossjack feels like he's from the 90s because he is. He really is.
And it's sort of like in keeping with this is supposed to be something that was an Image book that came out in 1991 or 93, I mean. And that's what all that stuff was. Like Spawn was Todd McFarlane's teenage creation, Savage Dragon, like all Youngblood.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No. That's why. No, it's I appreciate the inspiration for the flashback era that you guys are presenting. But again, I think the balance is there with the realism that you're doing, Tony. So
well, I feel like for you specifically, this book is like half of the things you like, because I know you don't give a shit about 90s comics or the X-Men.
Well, that's true, but it's only an aesthetic, and the way that it's presented makes sense for this story. So yeah, you're right. I am a Michael Lark fan, and I am a realistic art kind of fan, but I do appreciate the bombacity of the Image era, certainly the early Image era. And again, you guys were massive fans of it, so you guys know what you're doing, and you're presenting it in a fun way, and it informs. It's obvious we don't know what exactly Jack did to disgrace himself, I'm sure eventually it will be revealed, but regardless, or maybe not, maybe that's a long string for you guys. You tell me. I mean, will we know in the first arc or no?
Yeah, we'll know.
Yeah.
Okay. How long is the first story? 6, 5?
5 issues.
Okay.
Yeah. Get it done, get it in your face, and then we'll move on to the next arc.
Okay. No, that's great. No, I hope it does go beyond the first arc and everything, because I think it's a fun story. I think it's really interesting. But yeah, I mean the designs of the image art, forgive me, but it's almost like looking at him now, there's maybe a level of embarrassment on Jack's part of, I used to do this thing. Or maybe he's really longing and really does still want to be part of that world. I mean, again, I don't, from this first issue, he feels disgraced and certainly shamed. He's got nowhere else to go but home.
We tried not to do that thing where you're doing an allegory for the 90s comics scene versus today. But I feel like at a certain point, like there's certain things that you can't help it, and so it's just like, I feel like the way Jack feels about the 90s is the same way those guys feel about it. Just like, it was badass, and we sold a gajillion comics, and I'm a millionaire. Like he would, if things didn't go wrong for him, he would be delighted to just still be, in third gen in his superhero team, fighting nonsense fights and just getting into. But he would much rather be drawn like Tim draws him than how I draw him.
Right, exactly. Right. There's a thing in the book is when he feels himself, feeling comfortable, he gets drawn by me. Like when he's in the bar and he gets to get in a bar fight, all of a sudden he's like, Jack's back, baby, and but he's still like, now he's like a mid-40s-year-old guy, and he's all of a sudden drawn like a superhero stuff. And we're gonna keep doing little things like that with, using the things you can only do in comics, really, is to use those visual cues to help, make you feel something, have you understand the emotion, because we can do it with visuals in a way
and it's something that has to be two artists, or at least two art, like where we'll be going along in the script, and I'll just get to a panel, I'll be like, that would hit harder if Tim drew it, and then I can just send it to him and go like, hey, draw this panel. And then he just draws it, in between hanging out with his kid and doing his day job of writing real superheroes and stuff. So yeah, it's fun to again. It's all about freedom, and sort of like we're really sort of improvising here and there on this one, where it's just sort of like we got a real tight outline, and we script back and forth. Tim does a lion's share of the page to page scripting, but then I get in there and I'll sort of like fuck with it and mess with it a little bit, and then send that back. And so it's sort of like it's constantly, until it's printed, it's like a thing that's just like developing and getting shaped and formed, and that's
it's kind of like a comedy routine. Like you like write it, and then you perform it once and you see how it goes, and then you refine it a little and accentuate the parts that hit, and work on the parts that didn't, and which obviously, and that's another thing we don't get to really do. You don't get to do that when you turn in a book for the big two. It's got to get approved and it got to get fixed, and you don't get to mess around with it too much. So, obviously the key is not to noodle yourself to death, but there's something nice about working this way and just having it be kind of improv in a lot of ways too. I don't really work very well super structured. So this plays to my, just weird reaction kind of way of writing things.
And that's been super instructive for me too, because I tend to get stuff pretty tight before I jump out there. Like Stray Dogs, I had completely outlined before we even wrote the first page of issue 1. It was just like, this is what the whole entire thing is. And other things, like I'm writing a 12 issue thing for Dynamite right now, and it's like the whole thing is completely every issue I know what happens in every issue. And so what I'm hoping to pick up from working on this process is just sort of a little bit more how to trust yourself and know that you'll figure it out. Kick the ball down the hill, and you're going to pick it up again when you get there.
Tony, are you able to say yet or no of what the Dynamite thing is?
I can't. I don't think I can.
Okay,
but it's cool.
We'll get to it.
If people like horror stuff and they like me, they'll dig it.
Okay. Well, Tim was on last week, and for details, everybody, I will refer you to my conversation with Tim before Christmas, where we talked about books like West of Sundown and Spider-Man Unforgiven, the Unforgiven series that started with Spider-Man, but Unforgiven Avengers, I think, is the latest chapter of that story. Am I right, Tim?
X-Men and Avengers. Yeah.
Pardon me, X-Men Unforgiven. Excuse me. And then, of course, to celebrate Image's anniversary, Hack Slash is back, and Kill Your Idols. And there you go again. You see Tim's, Tim Stin's interpretation of Bloodstrike right there. Pretty cool.
There you
go. So, this is great. Boy, it's a shame that this didn't come out during the. I mean, Image is sloppy with their anniversaries. We all remember a few years ago when it was the 20th or the 25th, and all the original guys were supposed to, do their characters and draw their characters into one story. And of course, that was late, and which is classic original Image 1.0 Image. So
the Image 10th anniversary book was also late. So yes, but we got that one. The Image 30th came out monthly, so there you go. We nailed that one.
Just takes a few decades to really get it all dialed in.
Right.
If I had my way, this would come out on like Image's 32nd. Tim's just been like, all right, can we put this out? And I'll just be like, well, maybe we get like 10 issues in the can or something? And he's like, let's just go. So we're going.
Yeah. Is it hard? Is the pace hard, or are you okay?
No, it's not. I mean, last year, I felt like I finished Stray Dogs, and I was gonna just do covers for a year and sort of get all my other stuff up on its feet. And this was one of them, and I've got like 3 or 4 other things that I'm sort of building, and like a bunch of them are Image, and some of them are. There's the Dynamite thing I'm working on. There's a thing at Boom. But I was just doing covers, and then it just sort of got away from me, where I just had all these regular gigs, and then I was taking on projects. I bought a house, and then I was just like, well, I got to make every single dollar I can make, because this house is fucking expensive. And then so the pace isn't hard. It's just a matter of like clearing the deck and just only working on the stuff that's important. And that's about where I'm at. I had this ongoing project last year of drawing like 300 dog sketches for CGC. That was a protracted and long. I would say the outcome of it was great, but during it was just a nightmare, because it was just like, oh, there's so many of these. We didn't give a limit. We didn't say like we can do 10 of these or 20. And so me and Trish both drew like people's dogs for them for CGC, and it was paid great, but took a good chunk of the year. And then I had a Kickstarter that I was fulfilling, and then just like a bunch of cover gigs and random gigs. So, and I write I've been writing for the My Little Pony TV show. So it's just like all this stuff.
On that one there.
It's a great print that Tony did of the ponies.
Yeah, heroes and villains.
Outstanding, fantastic. That's great. What do we know? What platform that's going to be on?
Yeah, it's on now. It's on Netflix. My episodes aren't up yet. It just only sort of got leaked that I was working on. I'm supposed to just keep my mouth shut until the show comes on. But IDW did this like anniversary edition of the Pony comic, and they did an interview with me, and I was like, why do you want to interview me? Like, I drew those comics, but I didn't draw the first issue. And they're like, well, because you write on the show and you worked on the comics, that's interesting. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm not allowed to talk about that. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just talk about making the comics. And I said, okay. And then they're like, and you can proofread the thing and make sure we don't say anything we're not supposed to. And I go, all right. So I proofread it, and then we talk about making the comics. It's a wonderfully, uplifting interview about, making comics for kids and stuff like that. And then the book comes out, and like when the New York Times, the writer has the story, but the headline writer is a different person.
Yep.
Headline is like, My Little Pony TV writer Tony Fleecs, from comics to TV. Just like, whoa. So yeah, my episodes will start coming out in February.
That's great, man. That's excellent.
On Netflix.
Oh my God, I had Kelly Thompson on in the last couple of weeks.
I heard
we were
that.
talking about when Katie, when her My Little Pony beat the X-Men, and she was so Katie Cook. She was so, for people that don't know when we say Katie. But yeah, she was so cute. She's like, my book beat the X-Men. And it's like,
yeah,
yes, you did, Katie. Very good. Absolutely.
I was there. That was at CincyCon, you and me and Katie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tony Moore's show. Absolutely, man. God, I'm so bummed Tony Kara and company don't do that show anymore. That show was so fun and so relaxing. It was a great show. They had so many great people. Tim obviously was there many years, and it was that was one of my favorite shows. A friend of mine is down in Atlanta and was talking about going to the Waffle House. So we're like, we went to the Waffle House in Cincinnati at 3 a.m. and had waffles. Absolutely, man.
You got it.
Too funny. And Tim, of course, not only comics, but Revealer is available on Shudder and AMC Plus. So and also to purchase and rent on Amazon and Apple and all the iTunes, wherever you would get and rent movies. I'm sure it's on Vudu.
Tim, the other day we were talking about story stuff for Local Man, and he was like, "I don't know if you saw Revealer." And I was like, "My friend made a movie that's on fucking Shudder, and you think I didn't watch it? Like, I love Shudder. It could have been, you put anything on Shudder, and you could have been like The Grip on it. I'd be like, oh, I gotta see that. See what you did. See how those lights came up."
Well, in that case, you got to see Class Action Park, the documentary that's on HBO Max.
Yeah, Traction Park.
Well, it's called Class Action Park, I thought. But yeah. I mean, it's this. And for people who don't know, it's this insane water park and crazy rides, and it was made in New Jersey back in the 80s, and they had no sense of safety whatsoever.
Wait,
and
were you a grip on that or something?
No, but I'll tell you.
Okay.
So I was, every now and then Wikipedia, IMDb, whatever, you're on there, and then maybe one day you're not. And years ago I made that Prophets of Science Fiction TV show, and I looked, and in addition to that, I have a credit for additional crew for Class Action Park, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I remembered, I shot foot. I shouldn't say I shot. I put on YouTube. I put up my father's 8mm footage of one of the Playboy clubs from the 60s. And this filmmaker out of the blue emails me and goes, "Hey, I would love to use your Playboy club footage in my documentary. I can't pay you though." And I said, "Just give me a screen credit. That's fine." And I had no idea, but apparently it was for Class Action Park. So there's this scene because the park was near the Playboy Club in New Jersey in that location. And so they just have this shot of a bunny walking by, and that's my dad's footage. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
It's John's dad, so the footage goes like this, and right down to her ass. But of course,
it is the funniest 8mm family movie stuff because I mean it really was a resort. So my sister, this is before I was born. My sister's 4, and another little kid is there. My grandparents are there. My grandmother is wearing high heel pumps and tromping along the beach in high heel pumps, and my 80-plus-year-old grandfather is in a pool but wearing a white t-shirt, refuses to show his bare chest. Well, my dad's splashing him. My mom looks great. It's great because they're all like in their like mid-30s and stuff, and they're young or at least relatively speaking young and vibrant. And God, my dad's business partner, the co-owner of the restaurant, his wife looks like Jackie Onassis in this one-piece bathing suit. We're like, way to go, Aunt Elba. Who knew? So yeah, it's hilarious. But yeah, of course, a lot of shots of the bunnies. And then I don't know if you guys know this old-time comedian, Professor Irwin Corey. He's in the 70s comedy Car Wash with George Carlin and Richard Pryor, Franklin Ajay, all these great 70s and earlier comedians. But he's down at the Playboy Club, and there's like a marimba band. And he grabs the maracas, and he's in the tightest, shortest yellow bathing suit that probably was appropriate for 1964. But he is shaking his torso, and his junk is jangling back and forth in time with the maracas, and it's pretty disgusting.
We call that moose knuckle or frog eyes. Frog eyes for the fellas when the two they're separated that way. That's frog eyes.
Absolutely. So there you go, man. So
I love it. Usually when you talk about old movies that nobody's seen on here, it's not ones that your father shot. I like that. It's a real personal angle. We're talking about personal work tonight. You come to the table. You came to play.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I'm so excited for you, Tone. Tone's, if people are listening rather than watching, Tony's in his car because he's going to be at the New Beverly tonight, seeing a great double feature, and I'm impressed. And I guess I didn't realize, and it makes sense, Tarantino and his podcast partner talk about movies and then they show them at the New Beverly?
Yeah, that's the way it goes. And normally I'll just order, like I'll just find them streaming somewhere. But this one, the Cry for Me, Billy is the second feature, and it sounded rad. And then they were like, and it's available nowhere. Like even the VHS is impossible to find. It was like produced by Brute by Fabergé. They made movies for a while in the 70s.
Yes, they did.
And the Brute catalog is like out of print. Warner Brothers owns it, but they don't put them out or anything. So like I was just like, well, if I want to see that, I guess I got to go down to Hollywood. So I figured I would do like the Loeb tapes and just be on my phone and sounding shitty and just, you know, I know you like when that happens.
No, but that's what sucks about I think the promise of streaming, and now we're seeing even more with HBO and HBO Max, and as they try to cut the bottom line, all these things that were on there that they're taking off and stuff. But like Peacock is Universal, and Universal's been around for over 100 years. And there are so many great classic Hollywood movies. Now, in some cases, maybe they don't have the rights to these anymore. I don't know. But I'm so disappointed by them and Paramount and all these others where it's like, you've got to film. If they still own their old films, there's so many classics that are not being streamed. And it is so frustrating. And like you said, too, with movies like the movies that Brute produced in the 70s and other companies like that, yeah, they're like orphan movies that never find their way. And thank God for physical media and companies like, oh God, no, I'm blanking. Anchor Bay, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Some of the others. Tell me.
Vinegar Syndrome, all those companies put out.
Yeah. Severin.
Yeah, Severin.
Yeah.
They got lost. Arrow Pictures. There's all
Right, Arrow. Yep.
I go nuts on those Black Friday sales. The Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow, Severin, Criterion, basically, and then the rest of my winter, spring, and like the beginning of summer is just sort of like slowly working through those, like that big stack of physical media, and then I'll restart again in November next year.
What?
Tim, you sent me a YouTube link. Is that my dad's footage?
No, it's Cry for Me, Billy. The full film is on YouTube. So.
Oh, yeah.
Damn it.
That's okay. I found
You wasted a car trip, Tone. Hey, Tone, the other movie is The Loved One, which is this amazingly weird mid-'60s movie that Rod Steiger and Jonathan Winters, I believe Roddy McDowell is in it as well. It's about a funeral home, and that's a great movie, too, so you're not going to be disappointed. You'll be all right.
I saw a movie last week that was one of these. I bought it off of Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow or something, called Natural Enemies. And it's about Hal Holbrook.
Love him.
He is planning on committing like patricide, you know, like he's going to be a family annihilator. Like he wakes up in the morning and he's like, today's the day, I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill my whole family, kill my family and kill myself.
Wow.
Holy shit.
And then the whole movie is about how he spends his last day, and his wife in the movie is Nurse Ratched.
Louise Fletcher. Yes.
Yep.
Cuckoo's Nest. Yes.
Yeah. And he just goes about his day like he's a publisher. He goes to his magazine to work at his job. He goes to like a brothel and he's like, well, I guess I'll have sex with 5 women at the same time if I'm going to die, you know, like, and it's just, but it's like this very, like very personal and also gross. Cause you're just like, the hero of this thing is all about killing his family. Like he's going to do it. And he keeps fantasizing about it. But yeah, super dark, and that one was just from like, I was just, whenever those Black Friday sales come out, I just find myself scrolling through those sites and seeing what they have, and this was like Fun City, which is like an offshoot of Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow or something, and yeah, amazing movie, super dark, and at the end of it, they have like a dark version and a light version, where like, he either does it or he doesn't do it. It's based on
hilarious. Wow.
And Hal Holbrook was getting divorced, and he was in such a dark place that he wouldn't shoot the light ending. So like they had to figure out a way to like cut around it and do he's like, he kills them. He's the reason I made this movie is because he's going to kill his whole family. Jesus Christ.
That's amazing.
I know, you know, and especially at the end of his career, he was so grandfatherly and stuff. But then you forget, wait a minute, he's the bad guy in Capricorn 1. He's the bad guy in the Star Chamber. I mean, I've loved Hal Holbrook ever since I've been aware of him, going back to his Mark Twain one-man show. You know, he's great. He married Dixie Carter from Designing Women.
Hot dog. Those
I know.
Did he stay with her the whole
Yes.
time? Isn't Gerald McRaney still married to Delta Burke?
Gerald McRaney? Are they still married? I don't know. That's awesome. I don't know.
People Magazine 1991 segment of the Word Balloon.
I got nothing for you.
Where's Meshack Taylor?
Exactly. Annie Potts. God,
Annie Potts.
Tulsa King from Jungle Fever. Annabella Sciorra.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's in it.
I know.
And God, I haven't seen her in like 20 years. I think that The Sopranos is the last thing I saw her in. And it's like, Jesus, man, where the hell have you been?
I don't like to think about how that's 20 years ago.
I know, it's not scary. Well, Tulsa King, one of the main producers, he's not the creator, but one of the main producers and show writers is Terrence Winter. And Terrence Winter wrote a lot of Soprano episodes as well.
Yeah.
So the guys they have doing it, they know their stuff. They're the right people. What are you guys watching?
Let's see, Mythic Quest. I like that show. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's about art, which I find is sort of my favorite part about it, about making stuff. That's a good one. And
I
then,
like that show.
And we just finished the English, which I also have to recommend, which is a Amazon Western. It's really, really well done. The beginning is amazing. Kind of doesn't stick the ending, depending on how you feel about where they went with it. But did you think so, Tony? Would you watch the English? Did you see the ending?
No, I was just approving that Gerald McRaney was still married to Delta Burke. I have not seen the English.
Yeah,
I was just love is real, you know.
What a crazy couple. No, that sounds cool though, Tim. Absolutely. And Mythic Quest, definitely.
I recommend. Did either of you watch Bad Sisters on Apple TV?
No, tell me.
So dope. So it's Sharon Horgan, who's from Catastrophe, and she's been in a ton of stuff. She did that show Divorce on HBO too. But it's her and a bunch of other like Irish British ladies who play sisters, 5 sisters, and the one sister who's like the second oldest is married to the fucking worst dude in the world. And he's awful. Like the character is one of the most vile characters ever on TV. You're just like, what a disgusting piece of shit. And the sister, and he's like ruining this woman, you know, like he's such a psychic vampire that he's just like turning her into a husk of a person. And the sisters are like, we gotta fucking kill this guy. You know, like he's awful. And they decide to kill him. And the way that the first episode ends is he's dead, and we don't know who killed him or how. So it's sort of like a howdunit. And then it takes place in the past when they're planning on killing this guy and like trying to kill him. And then in the present where they're being investigated by like insurance guys that are trying not to pay the claim.
Sure.
And so it's like getting investigated on one side and then getting plotted on the other side. So they sort of like meet in the middle. It's fucking great. Like great crime thing. That structure and like the way they pulled it off is my favorite thing since Yellow Jackets was the last time that I was like, what an incredible idea.
You know, I kind of want to see. I know it was on regular AMC, but I missed it, and I kind of want to get AMC Plus. And right now, I cannot remember the name of this, but kind of along those same lines, there's a show where it's 2 stories concurrent, and one is played like a sitcom, and it's like Bad King of Queens.
Oh, I don't know.
And it's the wife's point of view, and this guy is like, 40-year-old man child, still gets drunk with his buddies and everything. And then the wife like leaves the scene, and it's suddenly the film stock changes and it's much more real. And she wants to kill her husband because she is in this godforsaken marriage where this guy is the biggest douche in the world. And I cannot remember the name of it right now. Maybe Wayne or one of the other. Yes, thank you, Wayne. Atta boy. Wayne came through. Kevin Kneff himself. That's the name.
Yeah. I didn't see that either, but you're right. That did look incredible.
I saw the first episode and it blew my mind. I'm honestly, first of all, I have and it's ridiculous, 10 streamers, but I can write it off because of Word Balloon, because invariably I'll have people on from the various platforms. So I go, wow, there's an episode. But I'm thinking of jumping on 1 or 2 of them to go to AMC Plus because of stuff like that and some other AMC shows too that never made it to AMC but were on the streamer. They did a new Ipcris file, the Michael Caine spy thing from the 60s. Great. Len Dayton, the spy novelist, it was based on his book. And it's one of those great 60s like spy things and much more realistic than your classic super spy James Bond stuff, which I also love. But, you know, kind of in the vein of Le Carré, but even less drawing room and more, you know, spies on a budget and really not leaving the most glamorous lives and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, so I'm thinking about jumping to AMC Plus. I don't know.
You get Shudder for free too with AMC Plus, right?
That's where they're going. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can finally watch Revealer.
Oh, I've seen it. No, Tim was sweet. Actually sent me Revealer, and I love it. But no, I can't recommend it enough. And Tone, let's talk Stray Dogs for a minute. Because didn't you get some hardware for that? Didn't you win some awards for that?
John, I was nominated for awards. We were soundly beaten, roughly smacked around by James Tynan, and who beat us? Oh, Pornstack beat us at the Eisners.
Oh, Good Asian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful book. Really just mopped the floor with us. Both very sweet men, great creators. So I'm happy for them. But yeah, crazy to even be nominated for that sort of thing, especially sort of on like the first big swing, like the first thing that I was doing on my own for 15 years or whatever. Like, so it felt really nice to sort of, you always want comics to love you, and I felt the embrace for those short minutes before we got our asses kicked.
Well, and you're working, and it's now in development, right? Stray Dogs.
It's always in something. Right now, everything's weird out here because we sold it originally to Paramount, and that option has run out. They had like some shakeups over there, and the president of animation that bought it isn't the same person who's the president of animation now. And so now we've got it back, and there's a script. It was written by Mark Perez, who wrote Game Night. And so it's just a matter of like, do we take that out again, or do we go somewhere else with it? It's been sitting at Netflix for a little bit, so I guess this is probably too deep in the weeds of what's going on with my business, but it's chilling over there right now. So it's not in development currently, but we are, the team Stray Dogs is in development on a follow-up. Me and Trish and Tone and Brad and Lauren and like everybody that worked on the first book is working on sort of like another animal horror thing that's not the same characters, but the same sort of vibe.
Excellent.
It just seemed like that, like if I had more to say about that, like that feeling and that world, but not necessarily about that story, because like you get to the end of Stray Dogs, it's pretty well done. And I like the freedom of doing your stuff at Image is you can just go like, that's it, we're done. And I like being able to do that, but I wanted to do more with those collaborators and with that stuff. So we're working on that now. That'll probably be hopefully around next year this time. We're gonna really put a bunch of it together before we start putting it out, but it'll be longer than Stray Dogs.
Okay. And Tim has a slew of books out right now, not only West of Sundown, the Unforgiven miniseries, but also The Roadie is another one. And what am I missing, Tim?
Oh, shit, I don't even know. There's too much.
I know.
What else came out? Oh, Hexware. That's
Hexware, of course. Yes,
yeah.
Indeed. Excellent.
What else do I have? I don't know. I'm always working on shit because I get bored and I can't sleep, so I just make shit. That's what I do. So
that's good. We like that you do that.
But there's a new Money Shot coming. There's a new Money Shot, which it has the craziest ass guest star coming up too. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, it has a weird one that I'm very proud of that we pulled off.
I don't even know about this. That's
exciting. It's gonna be cool.
That's great. Sarah still co-writing with you on Money Shot?
She is not.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay.
Comics chased her out. As it
does.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor kid. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's a mean business. Gotta The only way you last is you turns it into an old bearded guy who sits around and talks about old movies. It's the only way you live. If you're young and attractive, you're not gonna make it. So
I've over Christmas weekend, I was watching the CNN produced documentary about Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, and she really, God bless her, she really did the wife thing once she got married to Paul and started having babies, and she was really the hot oh my God actress, and then Paul took over and was killing it, and she really put her career like on hold for like 10 years. And one of the last movies she made was this very sleazy, I mean, she was hoping to make a drama, and I don't remember who the original director or producer was, but they bowed out or got fired at Fox, and Daryl Zanuck took over and took out a lot of the drama and just kept all the sleaze. And it's literally called The Stripper. And she, yeah, and this is prime Joanne Woodward. And I'm like, I've never heard of that movie. And just like you, finding the Western that Tony is going to see tonight. Yeah, it's on YouTube. I mean, that's the great thing about YouTube. If you hunt around a lot of those orphan movies, you can find them. And
this reminds me, because I was going to ask Tony about it. I had recommended him a movie, which I realized was a big influence on Local Man that I had forgotten that was a big influence. And then I sat down and watched, and I was like, oh, yeah, there's the director, John Dahl, who from the late 80s to the late 90s made a bunch of great movies and then just fucked off from Hollywood, well, from movies anyway, and now just directs TV. But he made one movie in particular that I saw when I was in high school. And it's just, I don't know, it was like one of those I rented. I used to go to Blockbuster every Friday and come home and watch movies or wherever. It was called Red Rock West with Nicolas Cage.
I remember that movie. Great movie.
But it's like a neo noir. Like he made a Kill Me Again, and he made The Last Seduction, and Rounders, which is not a crime noir, but it's a great movie.
But a great movie, yeah.
I didn't realize how much I was thinking of that with the guy sort of trapped in this small town, and Laura Flynn Boyle's character in there. So I recommend Tony watch it when he was stuck in the snow in Colorado.
Because I'm a physical media boy, I just went and ordered all of his shit, and so I got Kill Me Again showed up yesterday, and I watched that, and the other ones are still probably also stuck in the snow. So, but Kill Me Again ruled. That thing was brutal.
Yeah, wasn't that brutal? It's also an amazing artifact as well, because that's where Joanne Whalley and Val Kilmer are together. They met on Willow, and then they made that movie together. And you can kind of feel like there's just like there's some crazy stuff going on between them in that movie, just as actors. And it's a pretty intense crime noir, neo crime noir. And Val Kilmer plays it pretty straight, which also Red Rock West is weird because it's Nicolas Cage playing it pretty straight. Like he's not doing Nicolas Cage stuff.
Right.
He's great, but he lets Dennis Hopper do the Nick Cage stuff in that movie.
There's, Turner Classic Movies Late Friday Nights does TCM Underground, and that is like literally my high school, college, and post-college years of great cult movies that went nowhere and stuff. But I remember seeing them all, and it just kills me where it's like, oh my God, that's where you'll find, oh God, what's the alien vampire movie, the British movie that Patrick Stewart is into, Life Force, right?
Oh, Life Force, the Tobe Hooper movie. That's
yes.
So
stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of Divine movies and just great cult movies and stuff. And it's like, oh, that's so great. I'm so glad. And it's it's hard to cut the cord. I got to be honest. I don't know. I'm eventually going to do it this year. That's one of my missions. But it's great watching all that stuff. Yeah, thank you. Wayne just said Life Force. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Wayne, you can always count on Wayne. Wayne's our Canadian connection that always knows what the hell's going on. He's like
your producer. He's in the booth looking things up for you. And
honestly, yeah, and he comes on screen with Franco and Mitch from Terrificon, and we'll talk about the sci-fi that we watched that week or whatever. So that's where all my Star Trek frustrations come out. That's where
we're okay. We don't have to do it here.
Not gonna make you do it. Don't worry, Tone. Tone's still mad at me because I haven't watched the other Planet of the Apes movies beyond.
Still,
I know
those are 15 years old now. Come on, John.
How about Wachter getting the gig to do the new Planet of the Apes? I'm very excited. Yeah, that's going to be great. He's so perfect for that.
Dave Wachter, Dave Wachter. That's going to be hard to
I always
say.
call him Wachter. If it's not Wachter, maybe it's Wachter.
No, because Dave Walker is writing it.
Dave, you're right. David Walker is writing it, and I know Walker is a massive Apes fan as well.
I worked with him on Tarzan and Planet of the Apes. So yeah.
Yes, you did. Absolutely, man. No, that's again. I'm very happy for all you guys getting these great gigs, and you've been my friends for so many years. Tono, I meant to tell you. I was going to tell you off the air. Saul Colt from the Bendis board was in town last Wednesday, and we had dinner. And his son.
Oh, awesome!
It was great. Yeah, man. No, we were crying. We were having a great time laughing. It was fan. I don't know if you ever know Tim.
I hear from Saul every couple of years. And he hired me for some gigs early on too. Like, that guy's all right. We actually, Saul Colt, when he was on the Bendis board, did books with Bill Mouse, and we're the B covers to our books. We're doing like our heroes from the '90s, like our favorite '90s guys who aren't the ones that you think of right away. Like, obviously not Todd McFarlane and stuff, but we're doing a Bill Mouse one for issue 4 of our book, and we were talking about how cool that is. Like, Tim and I, we really do share a lot of the same like weird '90s stuff, and that's one of them that we both. But also Tim like knows all these guys, so like I'll just be like, oh, how cool would it be to get Matt Martin or something. He's like, oh, I know, I drew a snowman for him. Just like he lived all my '90s dreams.
Well, so speaking of that, for the covers, we have Todd Knock on issue 2, and then
that's great.
Yeah, we have Brett Booth on issue 3, and then we have Bill Mouse on 4, and we have Joe Benitez on issue 5. So
fantastic.
Yeah, so we're pulling in, and I think those are some of the best studio guys. Brett was one of the best of the Wildstorm guys, and Joe was one of the best of the Top Cow creators. And so this is just for us. I think Todd was one of the best of the Extreme guys. So so for us, this is like our little, it's in the style of the book, but it's also for us just a really cool thing to get a Bill Mouse cover in the mail, or get a Brett Booth cover in the mail. It's pretty cool. And those guys are all such nice guys. When Brett did his cover, he sent me the original, and when Bill sent his cover, he sent it to Tony. So these guys give us their covers because they know we're huge nerds for them. So it's pretty sweet.
That's outstanding. Oh, Alex Chung says something nice to all three of us. All my favorite comics guys on one show. Thank you, man.
Hey, thanks.
This is a perfect for Alex Chung book. Like, when we started working on it, we were just like, this is just only for Alex Chung, really. Like, if anybody else reads it, that's fine, but this is mostly just the things that Alex likes.
Well, there you go. No, hey, listen, again, you guys were kind enough to show me Local Man early on, and it is so great. Tony, are you both coloring yourselves, or do you have well, I see other names, so you tell me.
Yeah, no, Felipe Sobriero is coloring Tim's stuff, the backup stuff, and Brad Simpson from Stray Dogs and Time Shopper, and he's like my rock. He colors all my stuff. He's coloring my side. But then on covers and stuff, I'll usually color the A covers, sometimes with Brian Reber, who colors the B covers. So like on that cover that you just saw, that's me coloring all the me stuff, and then Brian Reber colored the mural in the background, and then I popped it all together.
I drew that background mural on there. So.
Oh
yeah,
of course you did. Yes, because there's
it's all super collaborative. Then on the covers especially, it's fun. We're sending stuff back and forth, and sort of like, oh, put something here, and just like Tim will send a sketch, and then I'll send back my part of it, and he'll send back his part. It's very, very cool and sort of fun in a like a futuristic collaboration sort of way. It's the sort of thing where we would have gone broke on FedEx, years ago, but now it's just like, it's saved to the Dropbox. Go ahead and open it.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And I love the real photography and the idea that there's an issue sitting there along with breakfast or whatever.
Oh
yeah, that's a diner in South Dakota called the Frying Pan, which I spent many a late night at after the bar. I get the Rosie special. It's fried eggs, bacon, sausage, toast, $5.99. But
perfect.
I was there for SuperCon, which was the Sioux Falls convention a couple months ago, and me and my buddy from there just drove around all over the place and just took shots of like the most Midwesty shit we could find, and just sort of like building a library of sort of like backgrounds and like if I need a city shot or like a wide shot of a field or whatever, like I've got all that stuff without having to go steal it from Google. So that's sort of been like a fun side part of this project, is just like collecting, I'll go to my family's in Nebraska and I'll just crack off a bunch of pictures or plates for covers like that, or Tim is in his dad's garage taking pictures for future covers and stuff. So it's super fun.
We heard the lead on this too, because we didn't mention one of our initial inspirations for this was Tony and I were talking about the shit we loved, and we like one of the first. I don't know who said it, but we said what would be so cool if you had a comic that was written like a '90s Vertigo, but it looked like a '90s Image. Remember? And then we're like, oh, I was like, I might have sort of a nugget of an idea for that. And that's kind of where we came from, and that's how those photo covers came to be. Because one of the things we had talked about was how a lot of those Vertigo books really stood out was by really having very different styles of covers. Doing Dave McKean, the Sandman Mystery Theater.
Yes, Guy
and
Davis.
So
yeah,
we really wanted something that looked different on the shelves. And the idea for those covers in particular was these are those comics that he was in out in the world that he now lives in, right? So like it was the comics of the '90s or that he was the star of, but now it's like in a diner in South Dakota, and now it's in a garage, like in some backwoods town, like tacked to the wall next to a pinup girl kind of thing. So yeah, we had some sort of big ideas about how to get that feeling that we were going for, which was definitely '90s Vertigo meets '90s Image at one point. It kind of evolved past into its own thing, but for certain that was our initial.
Yeah, it's sort of our North Star when we were first working on it, was like, make it feel like this and look like this.
Well, Tim and I talked about this last week. Tim is one of the masters of the mashup when it comes to blending genres and stuff into something different. And we certainly are getting that with Local Man, where it is both at the same time an interesting superhero story, but also definitely a crime comic. There's a big mystery going on. Issue 1 comes out at near the end of February 22nd, you guys said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. From Image. Go to your local shop, order it now.
Yeah, I'll give you the code. The code is DEC 220084 or DEC 220085 for the B cover. There, tell your the ridiculous system we have where you give them a secret fucking code and they give you a comic. So
there it is, everybody.
Every issue
thank you.
Every issue is a flip book. Every issue features a lead story written by both of us and drawn by me, and a backup story on the flip side drawn by Tim. It's a real unique package that we're putting out there. I'm excited to
mention we also made '90s style ash cans for this, and we sent them to comic book stores. So if you have a retailer that's a good buddy of yours, you might be able to talk them into giving it to you, because it's about $50 on eBay right now. But,
wow!
We made actual. I can grab one. I think I have some. Let me.
Sure. All right, he's going away. He'll come back. When's your movie, Tone?
I got a half hour. I'm okay.
Right,
I'm literally parked around the corner.
Yeah, we made these. We made these little mini style books.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, we love those. Like they would put those out for every issue of like Youngblood and Pit and Tribe had one, and like they would just sell them in the back of the books. Like I guess they would print them up for production purposes, and then for some reason just also have 3,000 of them that they would sell for $20 a piece. I guess I'm figuring out the math on this right now on why they would do such a thing. but I love those things, and we talked about when we were promoting the book, like let's send out the first issue and do it in this format and get it to as many retailers as possible.
That's awesome, man. Tone, were you hit by the bomb cyclone weather before Tim and I suffered through it in the Midwest?
I was in Colorado last week. We did early Christmas at my folks's, and it wasn't too bad there, but just the
freezing,
the effect that it set off in the airports across the whole country was disastrous. I went into an airport. Well, my flight got delayed a whole day to start. And then, so I was supposed to fly back on the 22nd. I got to the airport 3 o'clock on the 23rd. We ended up taking off at like 11:30 p.m. on the 23rd. And I was supposed to land. Well, I'm supposed to end up in Burbank, but at a certain point, they were like, "Okay, we're gonna go to San Diego." And I was like, "All right, well, I guess I could rent a car and sort of, like Del Griffith this shit." And then luckily for me and for nobody else, they had to divert because there was fog in San Diego, and so they landed in Ontario, which is like an hour from my place. So I was like, hell yeah, let's go. But the flight is still not back. Like, I keep getting updates because I'm still booked on that flight. So they're like, I think it takes off tomorrow afternoon.
Wow.
5 days later.
Jeez.
So it's a mess out there. I assume it's possible people are watching us right now from just furious in airports.
And to those people, we say, we're sorry.
Yeah, good luck. And
hope you're entertained.
Hope you're safe. Absolutely, man. And yeah, you're right. I mean,
Good local man.
Tim and I got off light. We had, like, while it was snowing, it wasn't the greatest driving conditions, but we got like 2 inches, 3 inches. That's it. Yeah,
it wasn't that bad in Colorado either. It must have just been somewhere else. Somewhere really fucked us up. I guess the South.
Yeah,
they really.
East Coast got shit hammered too. So.
Yeah, man, Buffalo really. I saw the governor saying, "Wow, everyone would refer to the blizzard of 1977 as being the hallmark." She's like, "We got a new hallmark. 2022 is the new worst storm ever." So yeah, pretty rough.
Well,
All right,
sure this isn't just going to keep getting worse.
Well, on that downer note, I will say enjoy your movie. I hope Gabe Hardman might be at the New Beverly. He goes to a lot of those. I don't know if you ever seen Gabe over there.
This seems like there might be a Gabe screening. I hope to run into him there.
I would think absolutely for the loved one, but also the Western as well, because I know he's a massive Harry Dean Stanton fan. We all are, of course. So,
of course.
God, who could forget his Andy Griffith Color episode where Howard Sprague retires and goes to a South Sea island, and one of the beach bums is Harry Dean Stanton and stuff.
I mean, I have to say I forgot that.
I remembered Paris, Texas, and I forgot all the rest of it.
Paris, Texas, another fine film. Absolutely, man. Hey, he's even in the Avengers when the Hulk crashed.
Yeah, you got a condition.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, no, that's a great cameo from Harry.
Only Andy Griffith cameo that I celebrate here is Barbara Eden. That's all I want to talk about.
The manicurist, yes.
Mamma mia.
Let me
That's
tell you.
Spicy meets the ball.
In her prime, absolutely, man. A couple years before Jeannie, you're absolutely right. I love her. She made a beach movie, Ride the Wild Surf. It's from Jan and Dean did the theme song, and it's hilarious because it's her and Shelley Fabre, and they both they changed their hair colors from their TV people. So Barbara Eden's a brunette, and Shelley Fabre's a blonde in that movie. Pretty crazy.
What movie is it?
Ride the Wild Surf, and Fabian is in it, I believe.
All right.
Send me the YouTube link.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's on there.
I'll hunt it down for you. Ride the Wild Surf.
Ride the Wild Surf, absolutely, man. And I believe Bob Denver is in it as a beach bum as well. But yeah, terrible movie. All right, Local Man, everybody. It's February 22nd, coming from Image. You're gonna love it. It's fantastic, really, and a fantastic mashup from Tony Fleecs and Tim Seeley. Well done, boys. Congratulations, truly.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, John.
Always a pleasure. And yeah, man, you guys come back when there's something new. Tim just did it a week ago. But Tone, when you're ready to talk about the Dynamite book or whatever, you know where to find it.
You will hear from me. I make it a point to swing by Word Balloon when I have something to sell and when I don't have something to sell. I'm always happy to.
And because of the holiday and stuff, thank you guys for our longtime friendship, 15 years or so now.
Yeah, crazy. I was thinking while I was brushing my teeth today, I remember when you turned 40.
Yeah.
And how you were the oldest person I knew. I was like, God, 40. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
I've known you for 20 years, dude. 20.
Me or him?
I've known you for 20, John. I've known Tony for 10 at least.
God damn, man. Well, that's insane. Well, yeah, we go back to the Devil's Due days. Absolutely, man. So, Jesus. Well, anyway, guys, thank you very much. Everybody, thanks for watching. We're going to continue to give you other great episodes of Word Balloon from the past. I had I dropped Brian Hitch today. And Marv Wolfman and Marty Pasco gave us nice weekend memories this past weekend. But we're going to keep rocking right to 2023. So stay along with us on the ride. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.